You're watching the second part of proportional reasoning. In the first part, we talked about simplifying rates and ratios in order to solve proportional problems. Now we're going to talk about a second way, and I'm also going to show you a little bit of a cheat to prove your answers right. So, in the previous lesson, we talked about proportional reasoning and one way to solve it. Well, proportional reasoning was solved by using simplification, right? So in our previous example, we talked about John reading 60 pages in 30 minutes and how long it would take him to read 150 pages. And I showed you that if you simplify your rate, the first rate you got, and try to turn it into the other rate, right, you would be able to solve for the other rate, right? So now you know 2 pages times 75 is 150. Whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. 1 times 75 is 75. So you know that in this case, to read 150 pages, it would take John 75 minutes, right? So let's do a quick practice. Mickey can eat 21 hot dogs in 6 minutes. She wants to know how many minutes it would take to eat 42 hot dogs. Well, we know Mickey eats hot dogs at the rate of 21 hot dogs in 6 minutes, right? 21 hot dogs in 6 minutes. Well, then let's just turn it into a unit rate, right? 3.5 hot dogs per minute. And then we just do that. We go 3.5 hot dogs in 1 minute equals 42 hot dogs in a certain amount of minutes. Now, this is something you may not be used to. You have a decimal in your fraction or in your rate. That's fine. That's fine, right? It doesn't change anything. You still treat it like a number. You don't make any differences. So now you have 35 is turning into 42, right? So 35 is turning into 42. Well, can that be done? Can you do that easily, right? So you can use a calculator and you can go, all right, well, 35 times 12 is 42. And whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other side. And since I have the unit right here, I just multiply that by 12, which 1 times 12 is 12. So the answer should be 12, right? So the second method is to cross multiply. To cross multiply, you look at two equivalent rates, this one and this one, or fractions where one part is missing, right? Just like this. And we're looking for this, right? 4 over 60 equals 3 over x. Well, how do I find 3 over x? Okay, well, for cross multiplication, you multiply each denominator by the opposite numerator. So we're looking at this. We have 3 over x equals 4 over 60. So I take this denominator, this bottom here, and I go, okay, I'm going to multiply it by its opposite, diagonally, numerator. I'm going to do the same thing here, across like that. Okay, so now I have 60 times 3, right? 60 times 3, and 4 times x. Now I'm going to solve this equation, or simplify this equation. Well, 3 times 60 is 180, right? So we can write that. And 4 times x, I can just write as 4x's, right? Saying I have 4x's. That's it. Okay, now how do I solve for this? Well, we need to find the value of x. This equation is saying that 4x's is equal to 180. So if 4x's is equal to 180, and I want to find out 1x, if I have 4 of them, I can divide it, right, by 4. And if I divide by 4, they go cross x. But whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other side, like that, right? So we can divide the variable by how many x's we have. 4x means we have 4 x's. So I want to divide it by 4 to get x, right? So if we divide this by 4, and then whatever you do to one side, you must do to the other side. You divide this by 4. You should get what x is, right? So 180 equals 4x. Divide by 4, divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so you have 1x equals 180 divided by 4 is 45. So you now know that x should be 45. And so for this fraction, for these fractions to be equivalent, x must be 45. So you have 3 over 45 equals 4 over 60. Right? the steps for cross multiplication. Multiply denominators by the opposite number, right? Across and across. Get an equation, 180, 4x. Get the variable of x by itself, right? You have 4x here. I want to get rid of this guy. I want to get rid of that 4. I divide it by 4, right? But whatever I do to this side, I do to the other side. What's left is your answer. So take notes of these, know how to do this, because I will ask for how to simplify proportionals so that you can get the answer, how to cross multiply proportionals so that you can get the answer, and how to get the correct answer through word problems. So try these questions on your own and try and cross multiply. Okay? The cheat I'm going to show you is called the fish trick. I call it a fish trick because I guess it kind of looks like a fish if you were to draw fins and a tail, I guess. Yeah, a fish. So I call this a fish trick, and it's a quick and easy way to do cross multiplication. So the way you do this trick is you find your x. Okay, there's my x. Second step, I go on the opposite side. I start here. Okay, then I go down diagonally, right, like this. I go down diagonally and I multiply. So I multiply this way. Then I divide across, and that should give me the answer. So let's take a look at this in action. We have our x. We start here. So we go 90 times 5, right, which gives me 450. Then we divide across. So 90 times 5 is 450. Then 450 divided by 6 gives us our answer, right? 450, so 90 times 5 is 450. 450 divided by 6 is 75. So 75 should be our x, right? So try these ones on your own, right? X, start here, 36 times 3. Whatever you get, divide that by 4. You get your answer, right? So for the fish trick, what I want you to do is use it as a tool to check your answer, right? So, sorry about that, to check your answer. So I don't want to see you just doing questions like this and drawing this shape and saying, look, I showed my work. No, no. Either do cross multiply or do simplify and check your answer doing this, okay? Because I will ask for both. So these are some practice questions you can do. I know it's a lot, but this will help reinforce your understanding. Okay? See you next lesson, and we'll probably start a new unit after this.